darling, you have just begun. By Dancing Lassie. Chapter 8. Whatever unholy alliance Lambert and Jaskier have made, Geralt needs it to stop for the sake of his sanity. He takes back any wish he'd made for Jaskier to get on better with his brother witchers. Jaskier and Lambert together are the stuff of nightmares. They're both loud, they're both irreverent, and they both enjoy teasing Geralt. Lambert will be sparring with Geralt, and then out of nowhere break into a rowdy chorus of "Toss a coin to your winter," including several verses Geralt had previously persuaded Jaskier should be omitted. Lambert has also started showing Jaskier all the shortcuts and hidden passages around the keep, and they've made a game of trying to ambush Geralt at any opportunity. Jaskier's yet to manage it, but there have been a couple of close calls, and Geralt's become increasingly touchy. Lambert sometimes joins them in the baths, usually with Cohen tagging along. Seeing that Lambert has warmed to the river god, Cohen has also become much friendlier, no longer concerned about making a wrong move in the Wolf Keep by being too nice to Jaskier. 9 times out of 10, Geralt's brother and his bard can persuade the Griffin Witcher into taking part in a truly epic water fight. Jaskier, naturally, has an advantage over the other two, and they are often led red-faced, panting, and half-drowned before they declare Jaskier the winner. Unfortunately, this means any hope Geralt has for a relaxing soak while cuddling his river god goes out the window, and he's finding himself increasingly taking his baths alone. Worst of all, Lambert has come up with an extremely irritating trick for Jaskier to play, and it's stretching Geralt's patience to the limit. It goes like this. Geralt, after a busy day of doing chores or hunting or training or teaching Ciri, will be taking a moment to relax with a well-earned ale. A long-anticipated treat, if you will. He gets to enjoy the first half of it without any issue, but at some point after this, when he goes to take a sip, the liquid never reaches his lips. It remains impossibly stuck to the bottom of the mug, no matter what angle he tilts it at. Sometimes it teases him, almost sliding down to touch his lips, but remaining just short of flowing into his mouth. There can be only one possible culprit, and he'll glare at the giggling Jaskier. That's when the god releases whatever magic he's using, and Geralt ends up with ale splashing over his upturned face to the great amusement of Lambert, Cohen, and Ciri. Geralt has now spent more than one evening hunting the keep for an unrepentant river god with too much free time on his hands. Ciri, his new favorite family member, will casually trip her papa in the hall once she feels the chase has gone on long enough, allowing Geralt to scoop up his vanquished tormentor. The punishment is delivered in the safe confines of the bedroom, appropriately muffled by the thick stone walls. Perhaps Geralt is not providing Jaskier with the best motivation to stop. Eskel, unfortunately, is still wary. He watches Jaskier out of the corner of his eye and scowls when he sees Lambert and Jaskier trading jokes over cards, trying to outdo each other with outlandish stories. Still, the atmosphere around the keep is a lot more relaxed now Lambert has come round, and Geralt is begrudgingly grateful to his annoying younger brother. Vesemir is more besotted than ever. Geralt is seriously concerned about his pseudo-father figure trying to seduce his lover away from him. Not only is Jaskier a river deity full of mysterious power just waiting to be documented, but he is as passionate as Vesemir when it comes to insisting Ciri has a thorough grounding in theory and book learning too. Vesemir may have been the best sword teacher Geralt ever had, but he'd also insisted that all the young trainees knew their bestiaries and lore. A sword would only do so much, he used to lecture, if you don't know what weak spots to aim for. His insistence on making them study dry and dusty tomes from the library has saved Geralt more times than he can count. But, like Geralt in his youth, Ciri is not so impressed by all this studying. Not when there are swords to be swung outdoors. Before the argument with Jaskier in the training grounds, Vesemir had been fighting an uphill battle to extract the princess from her more lenient instructors and into the library for study. Jaskier, when he learned this, instantly took Vesemir's side. He threatened Ciri with cold baths and no swords if she didn't apply herself just as diligently to her theoretical lessons as her sword-fighting ones. Ciri had come crying to Geralt about that. "It's so boring," she had moaned, taking a particularly vicious jab at him, which he easily sidestepped. "You're projecting your next move. You need to jab the sword before you move your feet, otherwise you're practically telling me what your next move will be." She had scowled at him. "This is why I should spend more time out here with you." "No, Geralt had refused to fall for that one. He knew which side his bread was buttered on.
Jaskier and Vesemir are right. Fighting will only take you so far. You can never rely only on the sword.
But Adalbert, bestiary is so dry. It's boring me to death, and Yasker's making me study maths. I hate it. You have to help me, please, Geralt. Which is how he's ended up attending some of Ciri's lessons with her, though it soothes his ego when he realizes Cohen and Eskel have been duped into doing the same. Jaskier, to be fair, is a good teacher. He's enthusiastic, funny, and doesn't mind repeating himself in a variety of ways until the lesson sinks in. Geralt now has an annoying song stuck in his head listing all the past monarchs of Redania. But even Jaskier can't make the differing forms of taxation employed by the northern kingdoms exciting. Geralt has found his head drooping on more than one occasion and come back to consciousness only to be faced with Jaskier's annoyed glare and Ciri's giggles. Today, however, there are no lessons or training of any kind. Even witchers take the opportunity to relax at midwinter. They'll use what little daytime they have to build a massive bonfire in the courtyard, which they'll light as the sun sets, a beacon to light up the longest night as they keep vigil to ensure the sun comes up to illuminate the new year. Undoubtedly, it would do so without their vigil, but there is a comfort in waiting up to make sure that the sun does come up over the horizon. It's usually a small celebration, just Vesemir, Geralt, his brothers, and whatever other witchers have decided to overwinter at Kaer Morhen. But this year, they also have Ciri and Jaskier. Happy holidays! Trava booms as he bursts through the dining room doors, startling everyone in the middle of the breakfast. Behind him trail Ina, Vidar, Adelaide, and Esther. It appears Jaskier's entire family will be joining them as well. What are you doing here? Jaskier splutters in disbelief. Travis strides toward them with long, confident steps, ignoring the raised ankles of Lambert, Eskel, and Cohen. He sweeps a squawking Jaskier into a rib-cracking arc, smothering his baby brother's protests against his broad chest. It's midwinter! Time for a celebration! And seeing as you couldn't come to us, we've decided to come to you. Trava winks at Ciri, and the girl grins back at him. She strolls over to Trava to receive her own hug. It's good to see you looking so well, Jaskier. Adelaide pipes up as she gracefully kisses her brother's cheek. You as well, Geralt. She surprises the witcher by coming over to give him his own kiss on the cheek. What a dreary-looking room, Lady Esther comments with her usual lack of tact, and Geralt can just sense a storm of decor criticisms coming his way. Better than that pink eyesore you call a drawing room. Ina shoots at her sister. The best tradesmen and designers on the continent helped me refurbish that room. Esther rounds on her sister. But you ignored all of them and threw out any tasteful suggestions they made. Vanaz steps between the two before the sisters can come to blows and eyes Geralt with an inscrutable expression. Geralt has an uncomfortable feeling that he's being judged, and Jaskier is too busy trading banter with Rava to save him. The other witchers have been left speechless, but appear to be beginning to regain their faculties.
This is Jaskier's family.
Geralt begins introductions quickly before one of his brothers can put their foot in it. He can't quite meet Eskel's eye. The scarred witcher had been wary about powerful river deities being able to waltz into their secret keep whenever they liked, and Jaskier's siblings had rather proved his point. Eskel does not look happy. Vesemir, on the other hand, looks like he's in heaven. His only current problem is trying to decide which river god to accost first. He's eyeing up the gently smiling Adelaide with barely concealed relish. Lambert and Cohen are just sitting there, big grins on their faces, as they watch Trava mercilessly tease his brother. You can't just show up uninvited! Jaskier complains loudly, trying to lift Ciri down from his brother's shoulders. They deftly avoid him, and Ciri continues chattering excitedly to Vidar about her training, as the Dryad River Goddess listens with a mere hint of an indulgent smile. Ina and Esther have sat down at the table, still bickering, and being eyed appreciatively by Cohen and Lambert. Geralt really needs to step in there, except, dear gods, Adelaide has quietly gone over to shake hands with Vesemir, and the old witcher has shaken it, but not let go. So Geralt really needs to interrupt that as well. Except Geralt isn't good at this sort of thing, which is why he has Jaskier. But Jaskier is still being distracted by his brother and hasn't noticed the calamity occurring in front of Geralt's eyes, which is the inevitable world-ending explosion that will occur when a member of one of their families annoys someone from the other side. Geralt's died in his sleep and found himself in hell. There is no other explanation.
I can't if I bring Arlene's moonshine with me,
Trava declares proudly. Geralt gives up before it should be said, even really trying. He's had the moonshine before. If they all drink enough of it, no one will remember what potentially inflammatory remarks are made over the course of the evening.
It doesn't work like that. This is their home. You can't just barge in. It's rude.
Yasgur's voice has reached a pitch it only achieves when he's properly anxious and upset, but Geralt's unsure what has distressed his river god so much. Surely he should be happy to see his siblings again. He told Geralt a few nights ago how much he missed them.
You waltz into my home whenever you like, and Geralt had the audacity to bleed all over it a few months ago. Least he can do is let me sit by his fire on a cold night, especially when I have so generously brought the booze with me.
If Lambert drinks, then I won't think it to stay,
Lambert announces, and Cohen seconds this quickly.
My!
Esther bats her eyelashes at Lambert. How generous and mobile of you. I don't suppose you would care to give me a tour of this fine establishment? Hadn't she just referred to it as a ruin not 5 minutes before? But Lambert has sprung up and offered her his arm, sweeping her from the room. Geralt cannot see this ending well. Lambert may be taken in by Esther's pretty face, and Esther may be appreciative of Lambert's muscles, but Lambert's going to want to glot his own ears off when the garrulous goddess of the river ribbon really gets going. Ina catches Geralt's eye, and there is a decidedly mischievous glint in it. It's like she knows exactly how this is going to play out, and is looking forward to watching the fallout.
How rude,
she drawls, and it almost sounds like her usual brisk tone, but Geralt thinks he's beginning to pick up on Ina's very subtle sense of humor, and it turns out she's as catty as her little brother.
That I didn't check to see if any of the rest of us wanted a tour.
Perhaps I could show the rest of you round?
Cohen offers, almost shyly, and Ina actually regards him with approval.
That would be lovely.
Adelaide pipes up, finally extracting her hand from Vasimir's grip.
Wouldn't it be?
The Dryad nods her agreement, and Ciri swings down from Travis' back to grab her hand.
I'll come with you. I know almost all the secret passages now. Eskel's been showing me.
The princess beams at the witcher in question, and Eskel can't help but give her a warm smile, despite his obvious misgivings.
Don't give away all our secrets, Cobb, he warns. Geralt, we should get to work on the bonfire, or we'll have nothing to light come sunset.
Vesemir stands and voices his agreement. Geralt looks towards Jaskier, not really wanting to leave him, but now that they're being left alone, Trava and Jaskier have calmed down. They're still taking shots at each other, but it's quieter now, less dramatic than when they were performing for an audience. Geralt hesitates briefly before darting over. He gives an acknowledging nod to Trava and presses a kiss to Jaskier's head, which the god leans into.
Be nice to your brother, Kingfisher,
he murmurs into Jaskier's hair
just to hear his lemons squawk,
then goes to open the bonfire.
Jaskier is pretty sure this is a scene directly out of his nightmares.
His family and Geralt's wrangling. Just when he thought he was making some headway with Geralt's brothers. He and Lambert are getting on well now that the Witcher has decided he's trustworthy and Cohen's a sweetheart. He's probably the most diligent of Jaskier's pupils, and it turns out they share a love of literature. They've spent a few evenings debating classical literature. Ciri will sometimes join them, and they'll take turns reading chapters to her. Eskel still doesn't trust him, but Jaskier had thought that by the end of winter, with no unusual godly occurrences, the Witcher would have warmed to him. Now his family has invaded and could ruin everything.
Come on, Trava nudges him. The last time I saw you, you were trapped in Lettenhove with Nilfgaardian spies slowly closing in on you. I thought you'd be looking happier now. You've got your daughter and your witcher safe and sound.
Jaskier lets out a long, tired sigh and heads over to sit down by the fire.
I'm happy that we got out. Things have just been a little difficult. I heard.
Travis sits opposite him.
Tina dropped by after her visit to complain about the ineptitude of witches, but she did think it was purely accidental on their part. It's not just that. We're not human, Trava, and they don't know much about what we are. It makes them edgy. I just want them to like me,
he pleads. Trava leans forward to clasp his shoulder, an understanding expression crossing his face.
And we might have ruined any progress by showing up without warning.
He grimaces.
I'm sorry, Jaskier, we didn't consider that. We just missed you. After Cintra, I've just been worried about you. I know, Yasker whispers, rubbing his eyes tiredly. I missed you all too. We are being maudlin, Trevor huffs. But it is midwinter, and we are all together. We should be happy. I'll make sure the others know to behave, and if any of the witches get out of line, I'll summon the triplets to beat some sense into him.
Yasker can't help but laugh, some of the stress leaving his dad's brain.
Should we go find them, or do you fancy your own tour? They can find us here.
Trevor reaches into his bag to pull out a bottle.
We can make a start on this, and I'll fill you in on all the gossip. One of old Father Ponta's daughters wants to join a temple of Melatelli to track down an acolyte gone astray, which is wrong on so many levels. And your druid and his lady love have moved into your house to help Ike. How old are they all?
Yasker is anxious for news on all three of them. He still feels bad that he wasn't able to see Malsag after the druid escaped capture, but he couldn't risk hanging about after Geralt had found him in Ciri. The most important thing had been getting her to safety. He also misses Ike much more than he thought he would. The former knight can be overbearing on occasion, and most of the world he comes across as pretentious, but that's only one side of him. He's loyal, and he puts his whole heart into everything he does. He doesn't know how to disguise his true thoughts and feelings, so when he looks at Yasker, as if the god holds the meaning of Ike's world in his hands, Yasker knows his acolyte really believes it. It's addicting and overwhelmingly humbling.
Oh, well, Kate calls Ike a duckling as he follows her to market like she's a grand lady whose virtue we must protect. It's a novelty for her. I think she likes it. And Malzag is enjoying a bit of peace. He likes to sit on your dock and watch the water. You have a new dog as well. Princess Arabella.
Yasker chokes on his drink.
Kate named her. Trevor laughs. A grand name for a scruffy-looking dog. She won't answer to anything else. What about your highness? I haven't tried that yet. I will next time I visit, and I'll report back to you.
They laugh, and it's nice. It's a little bit of normal that he hasn't realized he's been missing. He relaxes back into his chair completely and lets himself forget the past year. It's just him and Trevor unwinding with fatally potent booze and chatting about everything and nothing. By the time Lambert comes skinning in, minus Etta, the two of them have moved on to a game of cards that mostly involves making up rules as they go along and hitting each other's hands away as they try to sneak unwanted cards into the other's pile. "I mean from your crazy sister," he demands.
"Excuse me,"
the Yasker tells him loftily.
"That is my beloved sister we're talking.
She never stops talking. Does she even need air? I can't take it anymore." Trava and Yasker share a smirk at Lambert's decidedly hunted look. They can all hear Etta's footsteps echoing down the corridor towards him. "Lambert!" she calls out. "Where are you? I have a few ideas for the keep that could really brighten this place up. Have you ever considered hosting a masquerade? You have a fantastic space if you just make the most of it."
"Go." Yasker goes towards the laughter. "Up your brothers with a bonfire. We'll distract Etta."
For now, Lambert's on his own tonight. Perhaps this isn't so bad, Geralt reflects. Yasker's curled up next to him beside a blazing fire, and they're gazing up at the magnificent blanket of stars that twinkle like diamonds set against black velvet. There were no explosions, no angry voices, just good humor, laughter, and a lot of booze. Ciri hasn't even tried to sneak a drink of the moonshine, having far too much fun mock wrestling with Drama and Vda as the former entertains her with stories of his adventures. Adelaide has considerately sat next to Vesemir, patiently answering all of the oldest Witcher's questions and subtly steering his conversation onto other matters. Even Eskel has managed to relax. The alcohol has made him loose-limbed and loose-tongued, and he's getting a kick out of encouraging Esther to expand on her increasingly elaborate plans for Camp Malvin. The look of horror on Lambert's face, as the goddess clutches his arm, squeezing the muscle appreciatively, is priceless. Most surprising, perhaps, are Ina and Cohen. The pair are sitting slightly apart from the rest, and Ina is openly smiling at the Witcher, whose hands are gesticulating enthusiastically as he talks. Her cornrows, usually tied back tightly in a ponytail, are down and gleaming in the firelight. Geralt can see the sparkle of her gold earrings as she shakes her head with gentle laughter.
"This is nice,"
Geralt tilts Yaskar's face up with a finger under his chin so he can kiss his barged lips. Yasker is half asleep, happily slumped across him, but no intention of moving. May I join you? A soft voice speaks up behind him. A small albino woman stands behind them, a nervous smile on her lips. Gwen! Yasker jerks into full wakefulness and clambers to his feet to pull the woman into a warm hug. Of course, I'm so happy you decided to come and join us. It was nice to hear all the voices. It was like the old days. Across the fire, Vesemir has frozen. He can't take his eyes off Gwen, and Geralt knows why. He waits for Vesemir to get up, to come over and speak to the river goddess he's hoped to meet for so long, ever since he placed his best friend's body in a river so many years ago. But Vesemir doesn't, and he's displaying a certain vulnerability that unnerves Geralt. Geralt doesn't like it, so he gathers up his courage and turns to Gwen. It's good to meet you. He holds out a hand for her to shake. You too. Yasker speaks of you often. It's very sweet. Yasker blushes and Geralt grins smugly. He'll revisit this with his lover later. May I introduce you to someone? He offers her a courteous arm, just as he's seen Yasker do at numerous banquets, and escorts Gwen over to his mentor. Adelaide catches his eye, and having sensed Vesemir's distraction, she melts away to go and rescue Lambert from Esther's clutches. Yasker follows them curiously. Gwen, this is my old swords teacher, Vesemir. Vesemir, this is Gwen, the goddess of the Gwenlech. Vesemir scrambles to his feet and bows over Gwen's hand, pressing a gentlemanly kiss to it. Gwen lets go of Geralt, grasps Vesemir's hand in both of hers. Pollux often talked about you, she confides. It feels almost as if I know you already. He mentioned you constantly. Vesemir's voice is gruff and full of restrained emotion. I know exactly how you feel. Please, have a seat. Can I get you a drink? She smiles as she sits down, and Yasker, still looking confused, hands over his full mug to Gwen. Geralt leads him away, letting Gwen and Vesemir have their space. Play something. Geralt grabs Yasker's lute and presses it into his lover's hands. If Yasker plays, then the others will focus on him, giving Vesemir and Gwen the privacy they need. Yasker seems to know what Geralt's doing, but he doesn't question it for now. He strums a chord, frowning slightly before adjusting the pegs minutely. He strums again and smiles at the new sound. Even to Geralt's rather excellent hearing, the difference between the two strums is minute. The bard plays them a couple of songs, gathering the crowd towards him. His siblings are soon badgering him with requests, and even Geralt's brothers pipe up with a few suggestions. The gods and Ciri have no shame in singing along with the choruses they know, and Lambert and Cohen are drunk enough to join in. Geralt and Eskel stay silent, cannot be persuaded to raise their voices with the others, but both are smiling. It's the most enjoyable midwinter Geralt has ever experienced. The laughter and chatter continue through the night, even as the sky begins to lighten and the fire dies down. At last the sun breaks above the horizon, illuminating the sky in glorious shades of orange that fade outwards into a soft pink. It is made all the more beautiful by the way it lights up Yaskar's cheeks as he sits on the ground between Geralt's knees. Ciri has been unable to last the night and drifted off next to Vidar, who has a protective arm wrapped around her. To you, yeah, and whatever it may bring, Trava intones solemnly from next to Geralt, clapping Yasker on the shoulder. Lazily, everyone starts to heave themselves up, wishing each other a happy new year. Only Gwen and Vesemir are missing. They'd wandered off together towards the river a couple of hours ago. Geralt had pulled Eskel down when the Witcher made to follow them. He'll explain the situation to Eskel later today when there are no prying ears. Ciri is handed over to Geralt, and she snuggles closer to his warmth, but does not wake as the gods murmur their goodbyes and amble towards the river, leaving the Witchers to head back to the keep. Just got to check, Buttercup. Lambert had been absolutely delighted when Adelaide had let slip Yasker's childhood nickname. Your sister usually stays by the ribbon, right? Ada likes to stay within her territory mostly, yes. Why? Are you planning a visit? No! I just need to know that if I hear of any contacts in Brugge, I should just say no and go in the opposite direction.